I don't know.
So okay, let's.
वैसे we can cry because we don't want Boston. We never wanted Boston to win. But I had to take that stance. I had to take that stance in the last video. I
That is why
won.
we are
So
effing green because we don't want
first,
Boston. We are effing green.
first of all, guys, do what you do best. Acknowledge me for the
I'm
second
sorry.
consecutive time.
You said 7 games. It should have been 5. You should have said 5.
Bro. In the end, I won because Celtics won, and I hope Eric Ten Hag does it for the completes the hat trick because we
See,
finished
that's
the Premier League. We finished the Premier League on my birthday, and that's gonna be the deciding day. I hope so, and we thrash Aston Villa, and we have our first Premier League title after 11
12
long
years.
years.
12 years.
24, 20. 12 years. 12 years.
2013 na, so if you count
हाँ
that
हाँ
within 12
हाँ
years.
हाँ ठीक है ठीक. So that anyway, guys, we have beaten around the bush.
But
The problem.
in that particular situation, we won't be acknowledging you because we all three want the same thing.
We'll acknowledge ourselves.
That. Anyway, coming back to Boston, see, Boston is so irrelevant for the three of us, and most of the NBA fans that we don't even want to celebrate their victory. We don't even want to talk about them. I mean, theek hai, jeet gaye bhai. You guys didn't do shit. It was an easy pass. It was an easy pass that you got in the Eastern Conference. Come on. But anyway, tell when Aniket take it up.
In the words of Skip Bayless, this ring should be made of cubic zirconia because because the entire Eastern Conference was cropped. I mean, first of all, credit where it's due. Boston won fair and square because at the end of the day, you have to beat what is in front of you. Right. Injuries to the opponents is not something that Boston has under control. Exactly. More than the team, I think it's a huge feather in the cap for Joe Mazzulla because when he was appointed, there was a huge ruckus about the fact that the entire Boston organization was in turmoil because of the Ime Udoka shitstorm that happened, and he had to get this team out of those choppy waters. And I think this is his second season as head coach for Boston, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So the first season he did not manage to get it. I think they were lost in the Eastern Conference Finals. But this year, I think the acquisition of Jrue Holiday made a huge difference, and also because he is a very intelligent head coach, and it shows in the way that he managed to get the best out of those players. Like you could see that even though Jason Tatum had a pretty off postseason from the Eastern Conference semis onwards,
right?
You had enough of players complementing his downward stride. So it was a very unified effort. But on the flip side, I am going to see Boston fans every time hyping up this ring. Like, I mean, we know what happened in the 2008 season. The likes of Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett still talk about today that they won it's like they won the ring yesterday.
Right.
That's the reason Doc Rivers still has a job.
Exactly.
We have given credit to a lot of guys, but Brad Stevens, of course, you are an MVP. I'll tell you why. Traded Kemba Walker for all afford. Okay? Didn't trade Jaylen Brown in 2021. He traded Langford for Derek White. Traded Smart for KP and 2 first-round picks. Re-signed Jaylen Brown. Traded Brogdon for Holiday. And re-signed Porzingis and Holiday. So, actually the acquisitions that were made in the past 2 years have actually come to play. And, this team actually came together. And everybody knows now what they are. They are the NBA champions. And they have one up of the Lakers now, 18.
Yeah. So, Aniket, I wanted to ask you, clearly it's more like Boston giving out their hand-me-downs to other teams and taking their best players. How much credit, like how Harry said, it is credit to Brad Stevens. How much do you think that his experience as a head coach has come into play after that transition in the front office? Because obviously, if you see all these trades that he's pulled out, there is obviously the thought process from a head coach's point of view as well. Like he being a head coach of the same franchise himself for quite a while before he made that transition into the front office. How much of that experience has come into play for Stevens making such a good team and eventually getting rewarded for the fact that they did win a chip after long last?
Yeah, I mean, definitely there's some kind of, I would say Brad Stevens is, he's got that kind of an experience now as a head coach, as you said, and then transition to the management, the front office of the Celtics, hierarchy. So he definitely had that experience before as a coach. He had that few years under his belt. He'd seen Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown first, and seen how they've
Yeah,
played in pressure situations, seen how they've responded when they're under scrutiny. He's seen the kinds of players who've played under him, as well as around Tatum and Brown, and so he has a perspective of what kind of players he needs to surround his two superstars with. So he's got that experience. He had that experience over the past few years, and then when he transitioned to the management, because he's a smart guy and Boston wanted him to be more than a coach. They wanted him to be someone who could actually galvanize the players from the management side, and then his smartness can be used. His smart, I would say techniques could be used towards building up the roster, in a better manner. So I would say that he's got a good relationship with other front offices in the league. Clearly shows because of the trades that Boston has made in the last couple of years.
yeah,
Definitely he's transitioned very well from that head coaching to job to a management job. And he immediately assigned the task of head coaching job to Ime Udoka, who was actually very good in the season he was there as a coach. He took them to the finals, and then obviously the whole incident happened where the personal stuff and all that came into perspective. So that was a pressure situation for Brad Stevens, but again he ended up doing a very smart hire right from the bench itself in Joe Mazzulla. So credit to him there as well. He did not go outside to look for a coach. He
yeah.
looked first in his own coaching staff if there's any suitable replacement, and he found gold basically. So he had Joe Mazzulla, and now Joe Mazzulla led them to a championship in the second season as coach. So Brad
Right.
Stevens, as Harry and Delvin have said, kudos to him. Brilliant job, very good trades, and it seems that teams that have traded with Boston earlier might not trade with them in the future, considering their trades have helped them in the championship now, like Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis and stuff. So Brad Stevens, full credit to him. Obviously, Joe Mazzulla, we have given him credit already, but Brad
Yeah,
Stevens, well done.
Do they need a trade though? I don't see the team needing any sort of a trade because they're so well rounded. I think the only thing that they need to be wary of is the health of their players. I think
yeah.
because
Oh,
again, like they were not they did not really feel the absence of Kristaps throughout the postseason because of the fact
yeah,
that obviously the rest of the Eastern Conference was banged up. And but let's talk about Dallas a little bit, right? We did a little bit of a preview on the finals, and we spoke about how Dallas would provide a very different challenge to the rest of the Eastern Conference teams that Boston have faced, with the elite rim protection that they had, with Luka being there, with Kyrie who's had a phenomenal playoff record. They just didn't turn up, did they? In the sense that Luca did his thing. Of course, you expect Luca to do Luca things, and Luca did it in his own way. But I think the rest. I think there should. Do you believe that there should be some type of questions asked on the rest of the players because they weren't able to turn up the way they were expected to? Was it like the final? What is like the pressure of the first time finals for the rest of the
might
roster?
be. The thing is that the team is very young. First of all, the guys that they have are very, very, very young. So that inexperience to play at such a pressure game and pressure situation is very tough to cope up with. If you're a first timer, you need that mentality monster kind of thing. I guess that they didn't have. Moreover, the kind of wins that they had in the Western conferences, especially the way they mowed down the Timberwolves, no one expected that. I mean, everybody was Dallas cannot reach the NBA finals. It has to be Timberwolves. But what did happen? It was Dallas who reached the NBA finals, not the Timberwolves. So the steam at which that they were going had to go off at some point of time, and it went off at the wrong time for them in the NBA finals. So I guess inexperience, this team went off at the wrong time, and of course, like you said, they needed, like, it's not that only the two guys are gonna play. The game is not only about Kyrie or Luka Doncic. Everyone has to do his bit, even if it's 2 points or 3 assists or 5 rebounds. That's what it counts for. and they could not manage that well in the final, and that's why they lost. But a hammering of this sort, because there were no close contests. So I wasn't expecting this. I wanted it to be a 7 game series, but it did not happen. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's from my side. Aniket, you can take over now.
Yeah, I agree to your points, Harry. And also one more thing, the team which Dallas faced in the finals, Boston. I don't think they faced any of those kind of that kind of a team in their run to the finals. Like they faced a Minnesota side who was similarly inexperienced as
Right.
them. So then they faced OKC, who are probably the youngest team
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the Western Conference
NBA.
playoffs. So again, they had
Sorry,
no
Western
experience in
Conference.
the pressure situations. And the Clippers were always the Clippers, so you can't complain against that.
Never,
So
never, never missing a
never
chance to shit
change.
on the
Hmm.
Clippers. Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't do that.
So you,
Somehow Harden was spared, but Clippers can't be spared at all.
so you see that they did not face a team that has caliber like the Boston Celtics. So they did come up against the wrong opponent in the finals. They came up against a team which is at their highest in terms of confidence, who had a very clean and very easy run to the finals with no competition whatsoever. So they were fresh.
Exactly.
They had fresh legs underneath them, and they had a complete team. Barring KP's injury, they had a complete team as well. So they had home court advantage, and after winning the first 2 games, it was kind of a wrap because Dallas had to get one of those 2 games initially, otherwise they would struggle in the latter part of the series. And then you saw that the confidence got shook more and more as the series went away from them. So yeah, I think there'll be more chances for Dallas in the coming years. They are a good team. Kyrie just had a very
And a young
bad
side. And a
finals
young side.
on the
The
young
best part
side.
is and a young side.
Kyrie, it depends on what Kyrie does now. If I mean, he has a contract, and if he plays like he did in the playoffs, Dallas is definitely going to be there again next season. It's just that he came up short in the finals, probably because he was playing against a side who he had quit on a few years back, and the crowd was just against him. Probably that was playing in his mind as well. And then Luca's first finals, so you got to give him more time. And they just brought in a couple of players at the trade deadline who never gone on long playoff series, before this playoff run for them. So give them another chance next season, and we'll see how they go.
Right. Just keeping all the Boston Celtics hatred aside and everything, but as a sports person, watching Jason Tatum crying, that emotion that he finally won his first ring, because we all expected him to do this few years back, 2 3 years back, that he deserved to win a ring at that point of time also. But finally watching him getting that championship and the ring, how do you see it and react to it?
I mean, we've always seen the fact that every player who's won that ring for the very first time, with the exception of probably Kawhi, because that dude is a cyborg for fuck's sake, shows no emotion. But the rest of the players, whether it be Kobe, whether it is MJ, whether it's
LeBron.
LeBron, or even Tatum, as we see, we've seen that outpour of emotion come across. I mean, it's like that huge weight on your shoulders, especially players who are as gifted like Tatum is, and with the baggage of not making it past the hurdle in the previous finals, or even in the fact that the conference finals or the Eastern Conference finals that they weren't able to go out of
Yeah.
each of those times. That's a huge load of baggage for someone who's 24 or 25 in Jason Tatum. And
26.
yeah, I mean they're thereabouts basically.
Yeah.
But again, no, I don't think anyone has have that much experience at such a young age, going to so many conference finals, making up finals, being 2-1 up in the finals, and then losing that set finals. So that's like too big of a baggage on you. So I think the emotions totally justified, and the fact that he is basically a Kobe disciple, as to speak,
Yeah.
in the sense that the man
Mentality.
absolutely idolizes Kobe. So I think it's a beautiful and a fitting way, that outpour of emotion definitely justified. So yeah, I mean, good for him, man. And he was not exactly his best. He would know that. A player of his quality would definitely know that they won it despite him not being the best. But I think he deserves it. If you have a closer and a much larger look at the overall career that he's had, he's not one when he's played some of the best basketball in his career so far.
Right.
So I think you can
Right.
cut him some slack uh, of over here. So yeah, I feel that the emotion was beautiful, was justified, and I think it was long time coming in the sense. So yeah, good for him.
Aniket.
Yeah, I kind of hate that the Lakers could have drafted him in the Lonzo Ball draft, and then they just drafted Lonzo instead. So that makes me sad right now. But I mean, anyone who's a Kobe disciple is someone who I respect because they are cut from the same cloth. I mean, obviously they cannot be Kobe, but they've kind of imbibed the same mentality of the Mamba mentality and trying their best till they never give up. And Jason Tatum has been on the journey, right? Since he got drafted,
Yeah.
he's been in that Boston team trying to get to the top of the mountain, but he's
Yeah.
come up short always. Either it be to the Cavs teams or later on against the Warriors and against the Miami Heat as well. So, and now when when he's got a good team around him and when he's also been at his best, he's got the chance to finally show his true colors, and then he's reaped the rewards for it by taking his team to the finals. As Delvin said, obviously he did not perform to his best. He was more of a playmaker, I would say, in this finals than an actual scorer. His percentages dropped considerably from the previous series he's played in the playoffs this time around, but he contributed quite a bit in terms of his passing and his defense and all the other attributes which contribute to your team getting the victory, and that's what he did. So a good job, I would say. Kudos to him. He's going to be here for a while now. There was a time when Boston was considering splitting Tatum or Brown, so either one of
Yes.
them could have been traded because of their consistent failures. But now they finally reached the top. I don't think nobody is going
Together.
anywhere. I
Together.
don't.
That's it. Together.
They're going to be together for a bit more. We just got rumors, or we just got a Woj report in the morning that Tatum might be getting a new contract that would make him the highest paid player in the
Right.
NBA. So
Right.
I don't see that as a surprise. I think that's going to be signed soon by Jason Tatum and Boston as well. So it could be a fact that Tatum could be there for the long run and could be guiding Celtics to even more finals runs
Glories and
as
years
well.
to come.
Won't
I
they be
would
over the
I
cap? Though? Won't they be over the cap with this new Tatum extension? Because they've already given 300 mil to Brown. I think even Drew and Kristaps are on big contracts.
I think the extension won't kick in till next season or something because he's already on an existing contract. So you can still offer an extension. So all they've aligned all the players' contracts that that'll make them stay under the second apron of the luxury tax. So they'll still have some room to sign veteran players for next season as well. But as you said earlier, they've already got a well-rounded unit,
Yeah.
well-rounded roster. So I don't see a reason for them making any panic trades at this point because unless somebody gets injured or somebody miraculously falls off a cliff, the team is going strong at this point.
Okay. Like you wanted to talk about the cap, so I have the but before going on to the cap, I wanted to ask another question, but I guess you guys have already answered it. Jason Tatum wasn't at his best. So I was about to ask, does Jalen Brown deserve the finals MVP? You guys have already answered it. So it's no fun in asking that question again. So this is the Celtics, roster cap, and it's now for the 24-25 active roster cap. So Jalen Brown is now at 49.3. Jason Tatum is at 34.8. Drew Holiday
Yeah.
is at 30.
Yeah,
Porzingis at 29.
big ass
And Derek
contracts.
White has
Really
20.
big contracts. Still, Derek White, those are all big ass contracts.
Yeah, so
Yes.
but
So
if they are still like under the second apron, which means that they will still have room to sign at least veteran players. So it depends, like
this is a
if they make any roster trades, like a small trade or something to kill some cap from their roster or something.
right.
Yeah, Harry, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to put that the second apron thing and all that stuff, like you were saying. So I just
Yeah,
put it on the screen for everyone to
yeah.
understand.
I don't
So
think they like to make any major tweaks to the roster which just on the championship.
right.
I'm sure they're pretty much going to overspend again on this roster because now they've finally got to where they wanted to over the last few years where they've tried to get by signing all these players and doing these different trades. So definitely they're going to keep this roster intact till at least till next season, and then see where it goes from there.
Right.
So they can
Are they
make
really
I
certain
going to
trades.
still
extend,
feel,
are they really going to extend Chicha Horford? Like seriously, bro's 38 now. So,
that's
I think.
what I was that
Hmm.
that's the question that I was going to talk about. He's 38, and he's like what 9.5 is his salary. So are they going to re-sign him, and is he going to take the veteran minimum or not?
I mean, he might retire as well. Who knows? He might want to go out on a high, retire by winning a championship. That could very well happen. I don't know if I didn't hear any rumor for that of that. So I don't know if they're going to offer him a 9.5 million contract because he's not that kind of a player anymore. But he did do a good job in the
Right,
finals. He's always a very good, resourceful player. So it's all about their decisions now, what they try to make. How
right,
much money do they want to save? How much do they want to keep spending? Because there's a limit now. You
right,
cannot. It's not like the old days where you can just keep spending and keep spending till you have the money. So they have a limit, and they will probably have to adhere to it till the NBA comes in and applies some penalties to them.
right. I guess
let's let's
that's it from
let
this side. I mean,
let's
on
talk a
the
little bit.
Celtics and
I mean, we've obviously spoken about the Celtics here. Let's talk a little bit about the Mavs. Uh, in the sense, obviously, we cannot let them go because they're losing finalists. Come on, we're taking the concept of nobody remembers second place a little bit too seriously, guys. Let's talk.
Yeah,
let's,
we should. We
I'm
should.
sorry, guys. I'm sorry,
And
guys.
ode to the Dallas
let's
Mavericks for sure.
yeah, let's talk a little bit about Dallas. I mean, uh, they had a decent regular season in the sense that they were what, fourth or fifth seed, I think. They got through opponents at a different clip. I think Boston was a step too far because of the sheer well-roundedness about that entire lineup. But my question is, what next for the Mavs team? I mean, obviously, quite a few of their players did not perform well. Multitude of factors, first finals, pressure at the TD Garden. I mean, obviously, these things do play a role. But I think Kyrie did not have a good finals as well. Or if you have a closer look at the games, and here's the problem: Kyrie has had slow starts before. Most notably the 2016 NBA Finals, where he started the first two games on a very slow clip, and then he gradually picked up. But in this particular finals, I think he was not exactly there. Uh, Before we go on what next for this Boston side, my question is, do you think that the sense of getting one over the Boston fans got the better of Kyrie in this instance? Because I think it was very palpable in the sense that the dude was playing with an added chip on the shoulder that he wanted to prove these dudes wrong, and he wanted to get one on them of the constant abuse and the constant heckles that he was facing throughout the course of his playing career post Boston. So, do you think that this occasion perhaps maybe got the better of him in this particular instance?
Aniket, you take it first.
So I wouldn't say that the occasion got the better of him. I think that definitely a chip. He was playing the chip on his shoulder. He was trying his best to prove to Boston that they definitely lost a player who was at his best at that point. So it's not like he wanted to show them something or he wanted to prove a point to them. It's just that things didn't go well for him there, and he was trying to come back and see what he could do to help Dallas win rather than making Boston fans be vengeful towards him or something of that sort. So I think every player definitely, whenever they leave their old team or something, plays with some kind of a chip on their shoulder to show them that they still have it. So obviously the fans were against him throughout in the at the Garden, and he did not take that pressure very calmly. I would say in terms of his playing stats and all that. You see that he averaged about 25 or 26 points at home, but in the Garden, his averages came down to about 15 points or something like that. So definitely the crowd got to him, and he could not, mentally he was not probably prepared to play in such an environment in the finals. So I think that when Kyrie goes and looks back at his finals performances this time around, he definitely see that there could be an opportunity for him to improve from that sorts, wherein not to take the crowd's behavior towards him very strongly, and all those basically his heckles, as you said, which probably would have hurt his playing style as well in this finals run. So I think that definitely Kyrie, disappointed quite a bit of the Dallas fans as well with his performance, because up till then he was probably like on a finals run, or I would say on a playoffs career high in terms
Yeah,
of, he's never
yeah,
been that. He's not been on that kind of a run since his Cleveland days, I would say. When that was in 2016 or something now. So it's been like 7 or 8 long years since he's
yeah.
put
Because
those kind
bro
of
never made
stats.
a conference finals up until that point.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely, Kyrie did play well, until the finals came about. So that's a little sad. And when it comes to the other players, they had Luca. Luca obviously did his thing, but if he doesn't have the support, then he can only do so much. And they've got players who will definitely improve, like Derek Lively, who's just made his first finals appearance in his first season. So he's got so much of time to improve that definitely he's going to come up leaps and bounds next season as well. And they have quite a few contracts that they can use to trade in this offseason, so it'll be interesting to see what they can do to make the team better as well. So they are in a good position, I would say. I think Kyrie depends on depending on how his mind is, how mentally strong he is in terms of playing in Dallas. So he's had a good season. He really enjoys Dallas from all it seems. So I would say if
You
Luka and
know,
Kyrie keep this
yeah.
consistently, keep this consistent, and they have a chance again next season as well.
What I feel is like, Delvin talked about, did Kyrie have a pressure after leaving Boston? But if you guys remember, after leaving the Cavs, actually, that team with LeBron that he won a ring, he has been had that, pressure on him. When he said those words, that I can win without him. So, he has been under the fire for like almost for 6 years now, 7 years, more than that.
Seven,
So,
seven, seven.
so I
He
guess
left
it's not.
in 2017. Yeah,
Yeah.
after losing to the Durant-led Warriors, like
Yes.
the next season.
So
Yeah,
he has been under fire for the last 7 years, and I guess this is not a thing that should have bothered him a lot. But yeah, that added pressure to actually perform. I put up the numbers. I don't know why the stream lags whenever I am putting up another, presenting another link. So there was only one game where he scored more than 30 points, and in all the other games he's below 20. So he had one of those poor games, that poor stretch, not even games, that poor stretch, because he has been a monster the whole season. Like I said in the beginning, also with the team, you know they just went out of steam at the wrong point of time.
yeah.
The all of the Dallas Mavericks players, at the wrong time, and Luca kept on doing his thing. So as we also know, it's a team sport, not a one
It,
person game. So that also affects it.
LeBron.
Yeah, I go. He is out of this world, guy. So
only,
we should not
only
bring him to the
only LeBron can carry a team by
when
himself.
when when when
carry.
Luca when we saw the photo of Luca plugging in his earphones, we expected that LeBron picture, to come back.
Yeah, the
That never
prince
happened,
of
unfortunately.
NBA. We call him the prince. Personally call him the prince of NBA. So I expected him to be like LeBron, but LeBron is LeBron. Nobody can actually emulate him. No one. He's just class apart. And still, I mean, I have seen his photos right now in this off season. Man, that guy is still on the business. Like I want to come back and score 30 points still, and he'll be 40. Come on, 22nd year. No, you cannot do this, guy. You
It's
cannot do this, man.
the entire NBA is like call an LeBron to the NBA be like call an ambulance, but not for me.
True that. True that. So
But
that's what I want to say about Kyrie. It's nothing about the mentality. It's just that he went out of steam at the wrong point of time. Yeah.
yeah, I think the one more important thing, maybe the last thing we should discuss is about the finals itself. Like the finals ended in like 5 games, and most of the games were like one-sided in Boston's favor. So another question that we should ask is, should the NBA? I mean, this is like coming from a Lakers fan perspective, also. But we've seen the Eastern Conference being relatively weaker compared to the Western Conference. So should the NBA do away with conferences at least for the playoffs and mix them up? we've already discussed this previously, but
I
seeing that
think
the
this has
NBA
been a
finals
running question for
ended
a
in 5 games,
long period of
I
time.
just want to bring it up.
Yeah, it's been a running discussion for a very long period of time. I think, except for the last 4 or 5 years, where the majority of the talent was in the East, with the likes of Harden, Kyrie, KD, all these guys in the East, and Giannis being Giannis in that particular period of time. You had all these guys playing out there. You have Embiid there. You had Kawhi for for a season there. So for that brief period, I've never seen the Eastern Conference be that dominant. But I think in this particular instance, you could probably put that down to the fact that the entire 8 teams, except the Boston Celtics, all the other players had injuries. All the other teams had
Yes.
huge injury issues to contend with.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
we'll start with the Miami Heat. No Jimmy, who's basically their heart and soul. Cleveland did not have Jarrett Allen throughout the
Yes.
series, and then for the next 2 3 games they did not have Donovan as well. Uh, the New York Knicks
Yeah.
were a very interesting case in that every game they played, they had a player falling out due to injury. So by the end of that, I'm not surprised that they had to pull out G League players or something like that, because that's how serious their injury crisis was. Indy did
Right.
not have Tyrese for a majority of the Eastern Conference Finals itself. Orlando had their own issues. So overall, if we're talking about this particular postseason, I think if you look at both the sides in the Western Conference as well, I think with the exception of Jokic and Anthony Edwards, there were not exactly a very hefty amount of stars in the West as well. Like, we talk about the stars that were there. You had Yoke, obviously. You had Luca and Kyrie. You had Anthony Edwards, who's playing like a star. But then I did not see
SGA. SGA.
SGA up to a certain
LeBron,
extent. He did
AD.
fall flat. He did fall flat on his face
Right.
when the stakes were very high. So
Yeah, but
overall,
Right.
the entire
hmm.
postseason this year, particularly, not really been challenging per se, because for all the quality that Dallas also possessed, they did not show up much of a fight.
No.
Yeah, but my other question is, even if these teams were healthy, like Cleveland, New York,
I
Milwaukee,
still
or whatever,
believe. I
how
still
many
believe
teams would you
Cleveland.
put
Okay, okay.
above a Cleveland, Milwaukee, New York, etc. Like from the West, like Denver's better than probably all of them. I
See,
would say
I
like Minnesota's better probably than most of the teams in the East. Maybe OKC is also better than some of the playoff teams in the East. So you have all these teams in the West that are better than these teams in the East who are actually challenging Boston, but then they fall flat on their faces.
right.
So does Boston's true test come against the Western Conference teams going forward? Is the question we
Of
need to
course.
ask.
Of
They
course.
did,
Of
they
course. It
did
has
beat
to come.
they did beat most of the playoff teams in the West in the regular
And
season.
and
Boston
lost
did.
to
I mean,
Lakers, na?
definitely they did have a historic regular season for sure.
It's yeah, because they were the top seed overall itself. Like, they had the best NBA record throughout the division. And as far as the rest of the teams is concerned, it might be my bias talking or whatever it is. But had Cleveland been fully healthy, or had New York been fully healthy for that matter, I'm not talking about Cleveland in particular. If the Knicks had been completely healthy, I do see these two teams beating Boston. I would see Cleveland beating Boston in seven, and I would see New York beating Boston in seven as well. Because the quality that let's exclude the Cavs for a bit. The quality that the Knicks lost due to injuries. They had Josh Hart out. They had Brunson out. They had Julius Randle out. Anunoby did not play for much of the postseason. So I think these four players are huge in the context of things, because apart from Boston, I think post the trade deadline, New York had a very dangerous and well rounded a roster as Boston did. So if you're not sold on Cleveland's chances, maybe New York would have had a better shot at beating Boston. But I would still put down this postseason to the fact that all of the Eastern Conference teams who were expected to make a splash had key injuries. So I put that down. That's my opinion speaking. You all could obviously have different opinions. Yeah, but y'all,
I mean, see that.
yes,
See
y'all
that.
did beat them. So technically, y'all are champions
We
because y'all
are.
beat the
See,
champions.
see, the
Bro,
Lakers and
bro,
Celtics.
we already had a trophy this season. We already
Yeah,
won a trophy this
fair
season.
enough. Yeah, dude. I'm not doubting that. That's fair enough.
The
But
Lakers
that
and
doesn't.
Celtics. have the
What?
same amount of banners, 18 to 18. Okay, so we are
But
equal in that
but tell
respect.
but tell me one thing, Delvin. How can you lose to this team?
I mean, it's a very rare sight to see Torian Prince have double digits in a league game. So
They lost to the Lakers bench.
you just got baptized by Torian Prince.
Bro, it was Austin Reeves, the white LeBron, 32
Yeah, but
points.
but the biggest thing is you let Torian Prince score double digits on you. That's an even bigger surprise than having the likes of Austin Reeves score 30.
I mean, this was Boston at their peak
Lowest
and the
point.
Lakers at their
This
lowest,
was the
and the
Lakers
Lakers
at their
beat them.
lowest. And it was that stretch where all the three games were big games. You had Boston, you had New York, and you had another team. The funny thing is you beat all three of them.
I mean, I still can't get. I mean, when I was watching them, I'm like, what the hell is happening? How are the Lakers leading at this point of time with these players
Yeah.
who
And I
who
think
are
I
going
think
to do
I think
shit?
Braun did not play. I think Braun did not play the Boston game, right?
Braun and
Braun
AD
didn't play.
both.
There was no Braun, there was no AD.
Precisely. Precisely. And
You know,
I was like, shit, this happened. Huh?
At the
so
Garden,
so
at the Garden.
so actually, Braun and AD were the problem.
Trade them.
Don't,
Trade
don't
them.
say that out loud. They might eventually go out.
Yeah, I don't mind if they go out. I
So,
need Anthony Edwards, I need Jason Tatum, and I need Luka Doncic. I'm okay with both of them going. I'm
Suddenly,
okay.
suddenly Adam
yeah.
Silver putting a ban for trading players only for the
Wait.
Lakers.
Okay, I think you started a good thing to end on, Harry. So now that the season is over, the worst season in NBA
Yes.
history is finally over. Fuck Boston. Okay, get them out of here. So, what is your moment of the season? Okay, let's go with Delvin. Your moment of
I
the season.
okay. Jared
I,
Allen not making the NBA play on NBA All Star.
does it include postseason as well, or only regular season are we talking about?
I mean, the postseason lasted short, but if you want to include it, you can include it. It could be
So,
your team. It could be something else also. So yeah,
I mean, there are a lot of moments to choose from, man. You could do a separate episode on the moments of the
we
NBA
could do
season
that. But
itself.
I mean, something just which just clicks to your head right now.
I think I'll go with Max Strus nailing that 60 feet three-pointer against the Dallas Mavericks at the last
Yeah.
second. I mean, come on. I have to pick a
No
cap.
one can do that. No one can do that, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he did not shoot for shit in the playoffs, but that one thing will obviously count.
I think he
Eh,
lost all his
eh,
powers there.
yeah, this is the one which it's gonna give me 300 points. Oh no, shit! The zeros don't count. It's just 3 points.
Exactly. So yeah, for me it's going to be that Max Strus three, and that too at home versus the Mavericks. For me, that would be my moment of the season.
Awesome. What
Aniket,
about you,
acha,
Harry?
I just showed you that on the. I did presented that moment. You know, that was the kind of game like, भाई हारना ही है 30-40 पॉइंट तो हार जाएंगे and what did we see? We beat them by 9 points and how?
Yeah,
And even I guess Lakers were down. They just came back in the third and the fourth quarter. They
they
made
were 20 odd down.
yeah, and we
Like 2 points down. They were 20 odd down.
भाई पता नहीं अब तो आदत सी हमको ऐसे जीने की is what Lakers fans है.
Maybe not anymore with Hamas gone now. So
भाई we have JJ Redick now. We'll have JJ Redick.
those podcasts are going to be on the court now.
Yeah.
We'll see.
No, he's gonna do podcast after every game. This is where we lost the game. He's not gonna tell the players. He said, "Go and subscribe my YouTube channel."
The entire podcast is basically going to be the plays he's going to run.
I don't think he'll be allowed to do any of that, but we'll see like what he does in terms of that.
Aniket, your turn.
I mean, I would say the in-season tournament was something special in terms of the Lakers, the consistent run of play that they had. Unbeaten in the tournament. They never. I mean, obviously, if you lost, then you're out of the tournament or something like that. But they were unbeaten. I think Braun and AD played very well in the stretch, and they gave us some hope that okay, this could continue throughout the playoffs as well. But unfortunately, it did not. So
So your
that
dreams.
that's
It
truly
is
a
what
goal
it
of
is.
dreams. But those 3 weeks which they played well was actually pretty good to see as a Laker fan. Pretty
They had a they
pretty
had a
refreshing.
all the Lakers player had a lot of champagne, and that's why our performances went down. That
And
was the reason.
you're being very generous by saying had a lot of champagne. There's a lot of other stuff involved. So
It's a family show, family stream.
I have a very honorable mention. That is what represents the Clippers as a franchise. It's James Harden blocking Kawhi's shot in a crucial play, in a crucial playoff game. Kawhi had a wide open three. God knows what was he doing. It's not even that he missed the shot. It's Kawhi giving him the look. What the fuck are you doing in my way? Bro glitched.
Guys, to all the fans of watching or who might have stopped watching by now, but might be watching it after the video is posted and completed. All this laughter is gonna come back in a few days. Thing is, NBA season is over, but that is the main part where all the trades and all the off-season acquisitions and all those stuff happen, and that's the time we love to predict and make the teams shit or god level teams. So we'll be back with that, and till then I guess the three idiots of Pella Take are gonna say goodbye, because now everybody is gonna take a power nap, because in a few hours we're gonna see a very good match. And also
The king plays on Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday. anyway anyway, also don't forget, guys, there's gonna be a watch along at 12:30. It's gonna be the watch along of the match between Portugal and what, Czech Republic? No, it's
Czechia.
Czechia. भाई ये क्या योगी आदित्यनाथ और इन लोगों से इंस्पायर हुए क्या? हर थोड़े दिन में नाम बदल दो. So
yeah.
Aniket, bolo.
Yeah, I would say, firstly, the fans who have followed us throughout this NBA season. So,
Thank you.
Thanks for your support throughout the season. Definitely, because of your support, we've made all these videos. We've done a lot of fun stuff on this channel, and we would like to do more, in terms of the NBA side as well.
And we will do more. And we will do more.
So,
we are asking just one thing in return. Subscribe,
like,
comment,
like, share, subscribe, press the bell icon, follow us on Instagram.
Yeah, you can abuse us. We'll ignore it. But just do something, man. Just do something.
Or we'll abuse you back. Depends on it depends on how severe the abuse is. But for now, it's the NBA off season, so it's our off season as well. We'll come back. We'll come back when free agency begins.
Right. We also need a little bit of break, but we are not on break because Euros are going on, Copa America is going on, Cricket World Cup is going on. This is going to be followed by the Olympics. Then again, some of the other thing is going to start. Premier League is going to start again. So
the medal is going to begin. F1 resumes.
So it's
all the guys in Sports with Sardarji be like, "Saas to lende pe."
Nah, yaar. Every day something or the other.
Yeah, so we're all going to be busy. We're all going to be covering a lot of different things. So just keep, liking these videos.
Keep watching these spaces. Keep watching these
spaces. There's going to be a lot of content in the coming days and months as well. So
also do comment what kind of content do you want to watch, and what do you like about us. We talking technicality or the fun that we do.
Before we sign off, by the way, debutants Georgia have leveled their score. It's 1-1.
Oh my God!
Turkey at halftime. So Turkey took the lead with Georgia equalizing. So by the way, the goal that Georgia scored shouldn't have happened because the keeper conceded on his near post. It's a criminal sin because, and I speak with a lot of experience as a keeper who's conceded a lot of shots on his near post. So it's very criminal for a keeper to concede on his near post, and that's exactly what happened. But Georgia, for a team that is played their playing their first ever tournament. It's been a very good performance, especially when they are on the ball. So expect a very entertaining second half, and obviously then it is going to be a very huge game with a certain uh, elderly gentleman going to be playing for Portugal, and his name is Pepe. So
Yes. Yes. Nicely done. Nicely done. Nicely
yeah,
done.
he's older than Ronnie and still playing so well at the heart of the Portugal defense.
Ah.
So credit to him as well.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a good game. Portugal versus Czech Republic. Czechia do have a few players who could cause a problem, but maybe a step too far given the sheer filth of talent that Portugal have. And obviously, since it's basketball, we'll obviously end this season, and we'll end this episode by the two most important things that we always believe in this channel, especially in the NBA section: fuck Clippers, fuck Boston.
Yes. Yes.
Let's
That's
go.
it. Bye bye. Bye bye. This is where we end